Wednesday Addams. The Addams family. The iconic daughter of the creepy and kooky Addams family. In the television show, Wednesday was a friendly, sweet girl whose only oddity was to collect spiders. But her more familiar appearance is a pale-faced, gothic girl who never smiled, had a deadpan attitude, and was obsessed with physically harming, or even killing her brother Pugsley. Maybe it was her own way of showing love for her brother. She has a collection of severed dolls' heads, and her favorite doll was guillotined by Pugsley. Together, the two kids are quite sadistic, enjoying the misery of others, and consider touring graveyards and torturing one another to be fun. Thankfully, The Addams Family is a comedy, or Wednesday would have been sent off to the nearest mental hospital years ago, although the ironic thing is she would probably enjoy it. The Twins. The Shining. The Shining is considered one of the greats of horror films, and it is no surprise, with Jack Nicholson's performance and the numerous iconic images and lines of the film. The Grady twins who appear in the movie give a brief but memorable performance. Nicholson's son Danny encounters the two girls whilst cycling around the corridors of the Overlook Hotel. Standing in the middle of the corridor, and invite Danny to play with them. The scene is intercut with shots of the twins lying on the ground in a pool of blood. Having actually been hacked to pieces by their father, Wood went mad, and killed his family before taking his own life. It is rumored that the way the twins stand side by side is based on the twins' photo by Diane Arbus, although Stanley Kubrick denies this despite studying the works of Arbus, including the photo. Eli and Abby. Let the Right One In or Let Me In. Swedish film Let the Right One In, and its American remake Let Me In, are a pair of delightful horror-cum-romance films, featuring a 12-year-old boy, befriending and eventually loving a vampire girl, respectfully named Eli and Abby in the two films. While appearing young due to their immortality, and are seemingly innocent, both girls need human blood to live, forcing their guardians to venture out and murder people. This is to be expected of vampires, but without blood, it is implied that the girls have a more bestial side to them. In both films, Eli and Abby are left without blood, and are forced to attack people like animals, and drain their blood by force. They also show an ability to move at lightning speed, and scale buildings and trees easily. Two particular creepy scenes in both films involve Eli and Abby lapping up spilt blood like a dog when their friend cuts his finger, and when they enter the boy's apartment uninvited, and start bleeding from every orifice until he invites them in. In a surprising turn, it turns out in the novel the films are based on, Eli is in fact a boy who was castrated when he was turned into a vampire. However, this plot point was not passed over into the films. ALIESSA GILLESPIE. Silent Hill. This poor psychic girl had a rough life living in Silent Hill, pretty much born and raised by her mother to be a host for an evil god, which ALIESSA would eventually give birth to. Through a traumatizing ritual to impregnate ALIESSA, she received severe burns, and part of her soul split away to be reborn as baby Cheryl Mason, who would have a role to play in future events. ALIESSA was hidden away in the basement of the local hospital, forced to stay alive due to an incantation put on her by her mother. Wishing to cease to exist, and stuck with a dormant unborn god inside her, ALIESSA's life has been pretty miserable. ALIESSA's suffering and hatred materializes as the shifting worlds of Silent Hill, complete with twisted, inhuman monsters that stalk the streets, representing different parts of ALIESSA's psyche. In the 2006 film, ALIESSA was considered a demon by her crazy aunt Christabella, and burnt alive to purify her. And it didn't help that beforehand, she was bullied by her fellow students, and raped by a janitor. ALIESSA was saved, but ended up in hospital, with a charred body, and a fury to match. She manifested her anger into Dark ALIESSA, a burned, sinister, and delightfully creepy incarnation of herself, who engulfed Silent Hill in darkness to punish those who had wronged her. Dark ALIESSA is a particularly creepy girl, who wants nothing more than to exact revenge of her tormentors, and dance in their blood. ALIESSA also frees her goodness as Sharon De Silva, who is later lured back to Silent Hill to reunite with Dark ALIESSA. With help from Roddy Mitchell's character, ALIESSA is able to break into the church of the evil cult, who condemned her to exact bloody vengeance upon them. Reagan macNeil. The Exorcist. At the top of the list is Reagan macNeil, a cute, harmless 12-year-old girl who was possessed by the devil, better known as the demon called Pazuzu. The Exorcist was one of the most terrifying, and back in the 1970s, controversial horror films. Reagan is possessed by Pazuzu, and it is up to Father Damien Carras and Father Lancaster Marin to exorcise the demon from her. Linda Blair does a fantastic job as the possessed Reagan, although the voice of Pazuzu was done by radio star Mercedes McCambridge. Linda had quite a lot to deal with in the film. Not only was she thrown around a lot in stunt work, but the iconic exorcism scenes were shot inside a freezer, with Linda only wearing a nightie. Nevertheless, Reagan is a marvelous horror villain, even though it is Pazuzu who is in control, because everything she does is creepy and disturbing. Her body slowly undergoes a demonic transformation. She speaks in Latin, and curses a lot, able to speak with the voices of the dead, telepathically throw stuff around, and spit out green vomit on characters. But those are just the tip of the scary stuff Reagan does. She curses a lot, as said before, telling her own mother to molest her, and is a shocking scene. Stabs herself in the privates with a bloody crucifix, the way she spider walks her way down the stairs on her back, and the awesome scene where she spins her head around a full 360 degrees. The exorcism scene is a moment of sheer chills, Reagan putting up quite the fight against the two holy men, spitting slime in their face, tormenting Carras with the voice of his late mother, and even faking the release of Reagan by floating up into the air and down